Well, it's always a pleasure to be joined here on GCR by an Orioles legend and a man who I could have sworn was retired, but every time I look, the Yankees still list him as working for them. I don't know what's going on with all of that. He is the great Sweet Swingin Kenny Singleton, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Kenny, it's always great to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem, Glenn. Yeah, I am officially retired. I don't know what's up on their website or whatever, but
So you're done. Like
I, I
you're not
I
even
know I'm
doing.
not tied to a schedule.
Okay, you're not even doing like the 12-game cameo this year, anything like that.
No, nothing. I told the people that I work with I do miss them. Don't get me wrong. I kind of miss the job, but I don't miss the preparation,
I get it.
and I don't miss getting into cities at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't miss that stuff at all.
I don't blame you. It really gets in the way of a good golf schedule, doesn't it, Ken?
No kidding.
All right. So with that in mind, if you are officially retired, that means now we can bring you out of retirement to do some Orioles games in the lead up to them winning a World Series, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that. I
Uh,
mean, geez, yeah, they do have a good young team. They would be fun to cover, but as I said, I have more fun now, Glenn, watching my grandkids play. My grandson
yeah.
play baseball and basketball, and my granddaughters play soccer. That's what I like.
Where all do they play? Are they around? I think we talked about they're in Jersey, right, Ken?
Yeah, they are in
Yeah.
New Jersey, South Jersey. In fact, since I last talked to you, my son has become the high school coach in Haddonfield,
Oh,
New Jersey,
cool.
baseball coach.
Very
And they
cool.
made the playoffs. They had a great first season, and they won their first playoff game 9-0 for the state championship. And their pitcher pitched a no hitter. He missed the perfect game by an error.
Oh
So
man,
yeah,
man,
but
that's
I've seen that kid pitch. He's pretty good.
sort of like John Means missing it because of a pass ball on
Yeah,
strike three a couple years ago.
yeah, that's true.
Ken, are you now? How are you? I think we talked about how you were as a dad with the kids playing sports. Do you second guess him as a coach at all now? Do you ever say like, "Man, was that the right time to pull that guy from that game?" Do you ever do anything like that as a dad of a coach?
No, he has been coaching little league before this, uh, coaching my grandson's teams, and the last 2 years they had gotten to the New Jersey Final Four
Well,
for the state championship for a chance to go to Little League World Series. Unfortunately, they lost both times, but uh, no, he knows what he's doing. I rarely sit with the parents because I don't want to hear what they have to say because sometimes little league parents think their kids should be playing in the big
no,
leagues. Yeah,
no,
you understand
never.
what I mean. Yeah, and I try to explain to them, your sons or your daughters are playing baseball. They're not baseball players, at least not yet. So they're still learning the game. I have. Sometimes I think, man, you should go out, Justin, and then talk to the pitcher now. He's getting a little bit of a jam, and as soon as that comes to my mindset, he's out of the dugout and going to
Oh,
talk to the
how
pitcher.
about
So
that, right?
he knows what he's doing.
Ah,
He was a pro himself. He played 7 years in the Blue Jay system. So that's one reason why Haddonfield, New Jersey, it's a small town. They wanted him to take the job. He was kind of reluctant, but he did it because he has another job, his main job, and he's really busy. But he had a great first year,
that's
and
cool.
now they're in the state playoffs. So
That's
we'll
cool.
see what happens.
Congratulations, man. Kenny
Hmm.
Singleton is with us here on GCR. Kenny, what do you make of from afar how the Orioles have done this? Of turned this organization completely around, committed to this full-on rebuild that I know pissed a lot of
Hmm.
people off in baseball because they were just saying, "Hey, we're gonna stink. That's the way it's gonna be." But they have certainly come up with the fruits of what this plan has been. What do you make of everything that they've done over the last few years?
Well, they did suffer. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they had some very lean years where they lost over 100 games. But when Mike Elias came in as the general manager, I think he followed the plan that worked in Houston, and it's working here. You have some lean years. You better hit on your draft picks, and it seems like the Orioles have hit on those high draft picks, and particularly Adley Rushman. I mean, he's going to be one of the best players that the Orioles have ever had. And certainly, I think he's going to be the best catcher they ever had. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that they've done a good job. It began to show where they finished over 500 last year when people thought they were going to finish last. And now, it wouldn't surprise me if they made the playoffs. I think their pitching has been better than what people thought it was going to be. The bullpen, it seems to be lights out at the end last night, notwithstanding. But I just think that they have a good team.
Yeah, that Judge guy is. I guess he's okay. I
Uh,
guess that guy is
yeah,
decent.
yeah.
Ah,
Well, I think he's. Well, he had a stretch there on the road trip where he hit 7 home runs in 7 games.
it's nuts.
You got to remember he was on the IL. He missed 10 games, and he's tied for the league lead in home runs. He's pretty good. Unfortunately, Bautista made a bad pitch, and I
Terrible.
think I know how that happened. That was only the second splitter that he had thrown. Now the first one he threw was to the previous hitter, Gleyber Torres, and he spiked it. It was in the dirt. It wasn't even near the strike zone. So I guess he tried to make an adjustment, maybe not throw it as hard, and it didn't do as much. He had just thrown 2 fastballs kind of by Judge at 100 miles an hour. He fouled them off, and maybe Bautista and Rushman are thinking, well, maybe we can't get it by him 3 times in a row, so let's trick him. And he threw a splitter that kind of hung, and Judge is going the way he's going right now. You can't throw him anything mediocre. He's just going to hammer it.
Maybe on an 0-2 pitch, it's okay if it's nowhere near the strike zone, Ken.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's
But
all right if you
that one
spike
was
that
right
one.
there.
Man, yeah.
Glenn, you and I could have hit that.
Oh, well, I couldn't have hit it that far. I'm guessing you still could hit it that
No,
far.
not
This
anymore.
point. Yeah.
I can't hit it that far. I'm just saying we could have hit it.
No, no doubt.
I'm not saying where it would have gone.
It was
but,
waiting.
But I'm just saying we would have hit it.
It was waiting right there. There's no doubt about it.
Uh-huh.
Ken, I think there's a lot of conversation now for the Orioles about how you jump from being good, right? Like they are clearly a good baseball team to being a legitimate team that can compete to win a World Series. And I still think that right now, as presented, that's too much to ask of this group. I think you have to have legitimate, I know he wasn't that guy last night, but a Garrett Cole type. I think you have to have top of the rotation, legitimate pitchers in order to do that. Is it time for the Orioles to start getting aggressive and start making trades? Like, it seems like it's all there, short of maybe a couple of pieces that can end up being the difference.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think the time is quite right yet because all the teams are involved, maybe with the exception of the Oakland A's, that they're not willing to give up yet.
Well, they
a
don't
long
have
year.
anything in Oakland. There's nothing to trade for there.
They're done. I mean, they've lost 40 games already.
Yeah, it's nuts.
My point is that you get a little further into the season, and other teams seem to think that this isn't going to work. We've got some pieces here that people might want, particularly in the pitching. That down the stretch that just before the trade deadline, and that then you pick up somebody. The Orioles certainly have enough pieces in their farm system now to make a decent deal to get a pitcher that could help them. Somebody who maybe not a number one, but certainly a number 2 or 3 guy who's a legitimate starter who could get the job done for you. I just think that they might be in the mode to do that later on in the season. I still think it's a little early for teams to be saying, "Oh, let's trade this guy, let's trade that."
Right. I get that, and I think that would be the more appropriate time, late June, July, obviously moving towards the trade deadline. Do you think they might still need one more bat? It's easy for us to talk about the pitching, right? Do you think there's a chance? I'll bring up what happened in the 10th inning last night, where you have a runner on second base, and both Santander and Mountcastle strike out, and both guys are good baseball players. But I don't know that either one of them is a traditional middle-of-the-order bat that you're going to count on for. And look, I get there's only one Aaron Judge. I'm not trying to, put it to that standard. But I do wonder if you still need one more. You had Frazier batting 5th last night, right? Like, I still wonder if you might also need one more bat, middle-of-the-order, real bopper type of bat in order to make that jump from good team to legitimate championship contender.
Yeah, well, I think one thing we have to remember: those type of players, they cost a lot of money.
No question.
You're talking, you got Judge making $40 million. You got most of the other guys who are pretty good making at least 30 to 20, 25 to 30. And I don't know if the Orioles want to make that commitment as of yet. Now, maybe I think, me personally, I think with the Orioles, as these young hitters like Mountcastle and Rushman. All these guys are going to come about the same time to get paid. If you understand what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's really going to come to the forefront for the Orioles if they want to keep all of them. I just think that if you want to be a good team, you watch your guys develop, and they're developing. Don't get me they're getting to be pretty good. Their offense, I'm not worried about their offense. I think they can hit. You're right. They might need one more guy, but if one of these younger guys really has a big year, say, Rushman hits 30 home runs, and Santander, who's already hit 30, 33 last year, hits 30 again. Mountcastle hit near 30 last year. So that's 90 home runs between the three of them. I think you're all right.
Yeah.
I don't think their offense is the issue. I think, like you said, they might need another starting pitcher down the road. And if it's not. It depends on how you're thinking here. The Orioles haven't made the playoffs in a number of years, so if they make the playoffs, the fans might say that's good. We're moving up.
Yep.
We're moving up. But if you want to win it all, you got to have the horses to do it, and you got to have those pitchers like Houston had last year. They just shut people down, and the offense that can hit and score, and the defense that can play defense. The Orioles are pretty good on defense too. So it's their pitching and their offense and their defense I think is really good. You're right. They might have to add another pitcher.
Kenny, you bring up, guys coming up for money. I know,
Mm-hmm.
look, Adley Rutschman is at the center of everything. I would like for the Orioles to give him $200 million today, right? Like, I'm good with that. But the guy that comes up before that, who I had some questions about, but I am now sold as being a long-term piece for the Orioles, and I think that it would go a long way for them to announce, a 5-6 year, $120 million deal is Cedric Mullins. I am utterly sold on all of the many things that he does. I know he didn't come up with the ball last night, but the range is just insane. It's nonsense, his range. I know his arm's a little weak. He's never going to be the 30-30 guy that he was a couple years ago. That's not fair. But what he does with runners in scoring position, the way that he's improved against lefties, I just think he does so many things. He almost comes off to me as like sort of the heart and soul, what Adam Jones once was. Different type of player, more speed, maybe not the same pop, but I think it's a very similar comparison in what he could do if you were to say, hey, let's sign up. Let's say Cedric Mullins is a part of this thing. I think it could electrify this fan base.
Yeah, I think it would too. I think maybe the 30 home runs, not quite reachable, but the 30 stolen bases definitely.
Yep.
He might steal 60 this year. And that's the way the game is set up now. They want more action on the bases. They've opened up the infield for base hits now, for singles, which helps him. Maybe he doesn't have to concentrate on hitting as many home runs. He's got guys behind him who can hit him. His job basically is to get on base and then move himself into scoring position if he can, which he's very good at. I think if you value a player like that with that type of money, somebody at the top of the order who has a little pop too, he could hit 15 to 20 home runs. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But for him to steal 30 bases, I think he'll have close to 30 by the All-Star break. So I think that's not a problem. And you're right, he has range in the outfield. He has that. He kind of reminds me of my former teammate Al Bunbury in a way. Bunbury had good range in the outfield. I mean, he was the fastest guy we had. His arm, Mullins' arm is I hope Al's not listening, but it was better than Al. Al's my golfing buddy now. We play golf all the time. So and he knows it. In fact, we were talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about playing with each other in the outfield, and I played right, and Al played center, and we discussed each spring training. He said, Singy, if there's a fly ball in between the two of us and somebody's trying to tag up and score, you get it because you got a better arm.
Yeah.
And I said, if there's a ball in the gap that we both have to run down, I said, you get it because you got more speed. So that's you gotta talk out there. And all those years we played together in the outfield, we never ran together, never ran into each other. There was no collisions, and we had a good relationship as far as being able to communicate in the outfield. And I think with Mullins and Hayes and Santander, I think he's better than people think in the outfield. and whoever else the Orioles want to put out there. They've got good outfield defense. Hayes is very good.
Hayes is very good, and then of course Santander. Maybe you lose a little bit on the range, but his arm is outstanding.
Yeah,
So,
but he's playing right field at Camden Yards, and
Yep.
it's like covering a postage stamp. He'll be okay.
That's not a bad point at all. Kenny Singleton, I know you got some golf to play this morning, my friend. I always appreciate you taking the time for us. Enjoy it. We look forward to doing it again soon. All right.
Enjoy the season, Glenn.
Thanks, brother.